you love tiara tray signs and decor as much as I do? If so, you are going to be inspired by this video. I love creating tiara tray tags. They look amazing and they are just so stinking cute. I am going to show you how I made these adorable Rae Dunn Inspired tiara tray tags using pieces of wood I got from Hobby Lobby. These cute little tiara tray tags are wide enough to stand on their own and light enough to be used as Christmas tree ornaments. These cute little tiara tray tags are great Christmas gift ideas for family, friends, co-workers, and Secret Santa gifts. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I am uploading new videos every week, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. While you're at it, go ahead and hit the bell notification to be notified when I do upload a new video. Earlier this week, I had an epic day of creating Rae Dunn Inspired wooden Christmas tags. These little tags look amazing on a tiara tray or hanging from a Christmas tree or wreath. I created a template using a tag I had gotten from Tuesday morning. I traced the tag onto wood I had gotten from Hobby Lobby. The tags measure approximately 4.5 inches long by 2.5 inches wide. In preparation, I went ahead and cut all the tags using my miter saw and then sanded them all with my orbital sander. I had originally painted some of the tags with spray paint, but I decided to go over them with chalk paint and let them dry. I used my Cricut to cut out several Christmas sayings using a Rae Dunn Inspired font. I will leave a link in the description below if you are interested in getting the pre-cut vinyl. The first tag was painted white and I transferred the word believe using transfer paper. I thought it needed something more, so I added 2 beads I had already painted onto a piece of twine and then added it to the tag. Look at how cute the sign is, and I just love the pop of color the red beads give it. After the first tag was finished, I decided to do all the tags at one time for each step. What I mean is I added the vinyl to all of the tags before moving on to the next step. The second tag was painted red and I added the word joy in white vinyl. The next tag was painted black and I added faith in white vinyl to it. The next tag was painted black and I added jolly in white vinyl. The next tag had been painted red and I added jingle in white vinyl to it. The next tag was painted red and I added ho 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 in white vinyl. The next tag had been painted red and I added happy holidays in white vinyl. The next tag had been painted black and I added bah humbug in white vinyl. And this tag was painted black and I added Silent Night in white vinyl. After I had applied the vinyl to all the tags, I used my iron and a thin piece of fabric to help seal the vinyl. This also gives my wood projects more of a hand-painted look. By doing this, the vinyl will kind of melt into all the crevices and cracks of the wood. The next step was to seal and protect the tags with Mod Podge. I painted each tag with Mod Podge and put it to the side to let it dry. Once the Mod Podge was dry, I added embellishments to some of the tags. I used twine and ribbon on each of the tags so it could be hung on a tree or taken off so it can be sat on a table, tiara tray, or a shelf. I had so much fun doing all these little signs. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas videos every week and you know you do not want to miss any of them. To be notified when I do upload a video, hit the bell notification. I just love gnomes. I think they are so stinking cute and can be used year-round in your home. Today I will be showing you 2 different ways you can create these easy gnomes. This easy gnome DIY will have you making these cute little decor pieces for every room of your home. And now let's get started with the first easy gnome DIY. What you're going to need is some type of fabric. I'm using an old shirt, a mop, and I just took this mop head off of a mop from Dollar Tree. Ping pong ball from Dollar Tree, got a black sock, and I picked up some of these red kidney beans from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use this hazelnut Waverly chalk paint for the nose. So let's go ahead and paint the nose so it can be drying. And I'm going to set that to the side. Okay, the next thing we want to do is get our kidney beans, and we're going to put them in the sock, in this black sock. Now I'm going to make a hole here. I may have to actually cut off some of this sock. A little bit too long. And now I'm going to hot glue this with a hole in it because I want to be able to hot glue the mop head down into the sock like so. So I'm just going to fill this up with a lot of hot glue. Take my mop head and hold it down in there. Now I'm just going to take the hot glue gun. I'm just going to go around the edge because I really don't want the head to fall off. Okay, so hopefully that will hold it. And now what I'm going to do is just cut it down the middle. Maybe not. I may just do this. That should fit fine. So I'm just going to start down here and just cut up at an angle. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I am actually going to iron like this to give it a seam for me to put my hot glue in. Let me start here. Iron this down. And now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So we'll start down here at the bottom of the little hat. Put some hot glue. Then we're just going to run the hot glue all the way up. Okay, and now we're just going to turn our little hat in right side out. Then we're going to take our little hat, put it down over our gnome. So we're going to just stick the head on there like this. Then now it's time to glue on our nose, but we need a second layer of paint. So you go ahead and do that. And I'm going to set it back down in here and let it dry. Just took some of the paint off. Dab that. Give that just a minute to dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little pom-pom from Dollar Tree and I'm just going to hot glue it onto the little hat, the little gnome's hat. See, isn't that cute? And here's our first little gnome with his cute little pom-pom on his hat. I hope you enjoyed the first gnome. The second gnome is even easier to make. I took a pair of slippers that I got from Dollar Tree and turned them inside out. I wanted to use the furry side for the gnome. Then I stuck the beer bottle into the slipper, and I used my Monvic glue gun to secure the slipper to the bottle. I cut the slipper from the bottom of the bottle so it would be able to sit flat without leaning. And I added glue to the bottom to secure the little bit of fluff that was around the edge. I took a large wood bead and placed it at the middle rim of the bottle. This is going to be my gnome's, this will be his nose. After many failed attempts of creating the hat, I finally figured it out. I used a buffalo check dog bandana I also got from Dollar Tree. I wrapped it around the top portion of the bottle and then cut it down to the size I needed. I turned the bandana inside out and glued it down the seams. After letting the hot glue cool for a minute, I turned the bandana right side out and started messing with it. I put it back on the bottle just to make sure it was going to fit the way I wanted it to, and it did. I decided to put a white pom-pom at the end of the hat to give my gnome a Santa vibe. Before attaching the hat, I had to remove the nose that I had glued down earlier without thinking. That's why you see a hole in the white fur. I began cutting down some gray yarn for his beard. I probably cut about 25 to 30 pieces of yarn. I glued the yarn down around the nose and face area. This took quite a while to finish since I was gluing each piece of yarn individually. Now it's time to add the nose and the hat. I put the hat on first and let the ends of the yarn stick out from under the hat. I then glued the nose at the top middle of the face. As you can see, this gave my little gnome a mustache and beard look. I thought that was cute. I haven't really seen any gnomes with a mustache before. He needed a bit of a trim, so I trimmed the beard around the bottom. I found a couple of places that needed extra yarn, so I went ahead and added that also. I continued to trim his beard until I was happy with the way he looked. And this is how he turned out. I continued messing with his hat until it was just right. These gnomes are just so stinking cute and so easy to make. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I am uploading new videos every week, and you know you don't want to miss out on any of them. I love making wood signs. It doesn't matter the size or shape. There's just something about working with wood that is enjoyable and comforting to me. In today's video, I will be showing you how I made this cute Christmas sign using wood from Hobby Lobby. I used E6000 to glue 3 boards together. To apply the glue, I used a skewer and put the glue on it, and then rubbed the glue onto the side of the wood. After applying the E6000, I used hot glue and glued craft sticks on the back to hold the boards in place until the E6000 was dry. After applying the first craft stick, I realized they were a little too long, so I suggest cutting the craft stick down prior to gluing them onto the wood sign. I had to use a utility knife on this first stick, and it was sort of a pain. I glued the sticks going from side to side and then glued more sticks going up and down on the seam of the wood. I just wanted to make sure that the wood was being held securely. The wood was a little rough. I tried to sand it, but it just wasn't working. So I used some sheetrock mud because I was out of spackling and applied it to the front of the sign using a Dollar Tree scraper. I applied the mud to the wood and then scraped off the excess, trying to make it as even and smooth as possible. I then used my hot air gun to try to dry the mud a little quicker. This hot air gun has been great and really helped me when I need to dry something quickly. I'll leave a link in the description below for the gun if you're interested in it. It really speeds things up when you're in a hurry. Once it was dry, I took the sign outside and used my orbital sander to get a smooth surface. I used white chalk paint and painted the front of the sign. And yeah, I may have poured a little bit too much, but my big paintbrush was nowhere to be found, so I was having to use this small one. I sat the sign to the side to dry. I had cut down another piece of wood to be the top and bottom frame. I used antiquing wax to stain both of these. I had cut the wood so it would hang over the side 1/4 of an inch on both sides of the sign. And I wanted only half the frame on the sign itself. So I measured and made my marks on the back of the wood. Once the sign was dry, I hot glued the frame pieces to the top and the bottom of the sign, using my lines to make sure they were even and straight. After I glued the frame on, I turned the sign upside down and applied more glue to the edge where the frame and the sign met. I used my Cricut to cut out this cute tree on some plaid vinyl. I got the tree in a holiday bundle from Design Bundles. I'll leave a link in the description below if you'd like to take a look at it. They have some amazing files at really low prices. I got an entire bundle of over 200 cut files for less than 20 bucks. I used a ruler to find the center of the tree and then used tape to tape it into place so I could center up the words under the tree and add everything to my transfer paper. This way I knew everything was straight and centered and fit onto the sign. After applying the transfer paper, I peeled the back off the vinyl and applied the vinyl to my sign. And when I started removing the transfer paper, that is when I realized the sheetrock mud wasn't completely dry. My letters just wouldn't stick and it kept pulling up the mud. The tree portion came off fine and stuck perfect. So I just removed the letters from the sign and let it dry overnight. I did go ahead and add nautical rope to the back for a hanger. I used my ruler and measured over 1/2 inch on both sides. Hot glued the rope and then added another layer of hot glue on top of the rope to make sure it held. The next morning I cut out the words for the sign and transferred them to my transfer paper. I then had to eyeball the center and applied the words to the sign. I then used gloss Mod Podge to seal the entire sign. I think this project turned out pretty amazing. I will leave links in the description for the products I used if you're interested in trying this on your own. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm uploading videos every week and you know you don't want to miss out on any of them. So make sure to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. I really love all the cute mugs and toppers at Christmas time. These adorable faux whipped cream toppers make any mug instantly cuter. In today's video, I will show you how I created this adorable mug and topper using Dollar Tree items and my Cricut. I just love how this turned out, and it was so much easier than trying to do a chocolate covered marshmallow. I picked up this red mug on my weekly Dollar Tree adventure. When I saw it, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I sprayed the mug with rubbing alcohol and wiped it off. This helps to remove all the dirt and oils so the vinyl will stick better. I found this really cute cut file from Design Bundles. It said, "I just want to watch Christmas movies," which is me at this time of the year. But I wanted it to say something about hot cocoa too. So I added the bottom part so it said, "and drink hot cocoa." I thought that was perfect for this mug. I'll leave a link to the bundle in the description below if you want to check it out. Design Bundles has some really great files and amazingly low prices. I have been getting most of my cut files from them since I found them. I applied the vinyl to the mug, making sure it was in the location I wanted and as straight as I could get it. Next, I need to make the whipped cream topper. I used a piece of cardboard and traced around the top of the mug I was going to be using. After I traced it, I cut just on the inside of the pencil mark. I picked up this 2-pack of styrofoam balls from Dollar Tree. I used a knife to cut one of the balls in half. I hot glued the styrofoam to the middle of the cardboard. This will help hold the caulk up while it dries, and it shortens the drying time. I cut the caulk tube at an angle. I started squeezing it out like I was applying frosting to a cupcake. I would suggest placing the cardboard and styrofoam on wax paper before doing this. I forgot to do that and had to move it afterwards. I used a paper straw and cut it down to size. I inserted the straw into the styrofoam to give the straw something to hold onto so it wouldn't fall down while the caulk was drying. I then used glitter and glitter tubes from Dollar Tree. I sprinkled them all around the top and the sides of the whipped cream. This gave the whipped cream a decorative touch. I sprayed a thin layer of adhesive onto the whipped cream just to make sure the sprinkles wouldn't fall off. This is where I had to move the topper onto the wax paper. Would have been easier if I had remembered to put everything on wax paper prior to adding the caulk. After about 48 hours, the caulk was set up enough for me to place it on top of the mug. I think it turned out so stinking cute. It's perfect for a tiara tray or just a little Christmas decor in your kitchen. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I am uploading 4 or more DIY videos each week, and you know you don't want to miss out on any of them. Hit the bell notification to be notified when I upload a new video. Who needs an elf on the shelf when you have this adorable elf sign? In today's video, I will be making this cute little elf door hanger using a piece of wood I got from a craft bundle I purchased off of Marketplace. I didn't have to paint it or anything. That was a big plus. I used a cut file from Design Bundles. I'll leave a link to the bundle I used in the description below if you want to check it out. Design Bundles has some amazing bundles at prices anyone can afford. I got this cute Christmas bundle for less than $20. They also have weekly free files, so if I was you, I'd check them out. I've been using their cut files for a while now, and I love them and the prices. After everything was cut and weeded, it was time to start layering. I first took the gold bells and the red dot off and put them on the elf shoes and hat. I laid all my pieces out in the order I thought I wanted them on my sign. This helped to give me a visual of how it was going to look and for me to make sure I liked it. I then cut the transfer paper to fit on the sign. The way I layered the vinyl is on the transfer paper. Some people will layer as they are putting it down, but I feel safer layering it on the transfer paper because if I mess something up, it's easier to remove it from the transfer paper than it is the project itself. Trust me, I've done it both ways. I placed all the different parts on the sign the way I wanted them arranged. I taped down the wording where I wanted it and applied it to the transfer paper. This is my starting point for the layering. Everything else will be layered around the words. Next, I cut the excess paper out from around the legs. Just makes it easier if you don't have a lot of excess around your vinyl. I then figured out where it needed to be and applied it to the transfer paper. I continue layering all the parts onto the transfer paper. When I looked, the legs and shoes didn't look quite right. So I gently picked up one leg and applied the top of the shoe on top of the leg. Once I had everything on the transfer paper, I applied the vinyl to the sign. I'm not sure what happened to the video for this part, but I can't find it. Sorry about that, but I still wanted to show you how I put this sign together. After everything was on the wood, I used my iron and a thin piece of fabric. I ironed the vinyl so it would melt into the cracks and crevices of the wood and give the sign more of a hand-painted look. This is my secret to creating wood signs, so don't tell anybody. Just kidding. I then added gloss Mod Podge to give the sign a finished look. I like using gloss, but the choice is yours. You could use matte. I also added a piece of nautical rope to the top so it could be hung. I think this is the cutest little sign, and I can't wait to hang it on my front door. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I am uploading videos every week, and you know you don't want to miss out on any of them. To be notified when I upload a video, hit the bell notification. I picked up these two 2021 planners on my weekly trip to Dollar Tree. I thought they would make great stacked books for a tier tray. I first removed the stickers from the back of the books. The sticker said easy peel. That was a joke. I had trouble getting them removed. As you can see, the paper and glue was left behind when I tried to pull the sticker off. So I used some awesome cleaner to clean everything off the books. It works great. And the best part is you can pick it up at Dollar Tree also. After getting the stickers off, I hot glued the books together with the fronts facing each other. I lined them up and made sure the spines were aligned before I glued them. I then hot glued the covers to the first page of each book. This just gave the spine a little more stability. I took the books outside and spray painted them with white spray paint. By doing this, I don't have to use as much chalk paint. After the spray paint dried, I brought the book stack in and painted a layer of chalk paint on all sides except for the bottom. I then used my hot air gun to dry the paint quicker. I got this hot air gun a month or so ago and I love it. It really speeds up the drying time. It did take a while to figure out I couldn't put it really close or the paint would bubble. But now I use it on nearly every project I do. I'll leave a link in the description below for the hot air gun I use and recommend for anyone looking to speed things up a little when crafting. After the paint was dry on the top, I flipped the books over and painted the bottom. And as you can see, I forgot to spray paint this one. So it did take a couple of coats to get an even coverage. I used my hot air gun between coats and then again when I was finished. The books are now ready to be decorated. I used my Cricut and printed out the words Merry Christmas to fit the spine on the book. I eyeballed where I wanted the vinyl to go. I knew I wanted them at the end of the book because I wanted to put some ribbon on the other end. I put the vinyl on transfer paper and then applied it to the book, making sure the end of each word was lined up. I got this adorable ribbon at Dollar General in a pick 5 for $4, which actually made it less than Dollar Tree ribbon. I got it because I loved the red truck. I lined the ribbon so the red truck was in the center on top of the book. The ribbon is a wired ribbon, so I made sure to press the wire into place before gluing it onto the books. I applied the ribbon using hot glue on the back of the book stack. I didn't want to cover up the red truck on the top, so I didn't add a bow or anything like that. Look at how cute it is, and I love how the snowflake aligned with the book spines. This book stack is great for a tiered tray or to place on a bookshelf or table. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I put out weekly simple home decor DIY videos, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. In today's video, I will be making this cute We Believe in Santa mini tiered tray sign. I used wood from Hobby Lobby. I cut it down to 6.5 inches long, and its width was already 2.5 inches. I painted the entire piece of wood using Rust-Oleum white chalk paint, and it took 2 coats to get an even coverage. While the paint dried, I cut out the cute We Believe in Santa saying using my Cricut. I got the saying off of design bundles, and I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check them out. Once the paint was dry, I used transfer paper and transferred the wording onto the sign. I then used my super secret wood and vinyl trick. I used my iron to melt the vinyl into all the cracks and crevices of the wood. This gives the sign more of a hand-painted look without the hassle of hand painting the letters. After ironing, I applied a layer of Mod Podge to give the sign a finished look. I used some thin wire ribbon and burlap to create a bow. And as you're all aware, I am not a good bow maker. So what I did was take a piece of the wired ribbon and fold it in half. I then took a piece of twine and tied it in the middle at the back of the ribbon. I shaped up the bow and then hot glued it to the strip I had already hot glued onto the sign. If you know of a good video to teach me how to tie a bow, please let me know in the comments. I have watched tons of videos and I still can't figure it out. This cute little sign works great on a tiered tray or simply sitting on a table or bookshelf. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas decor videos and gift ideas every week until Christmas, and you know you don't want to miss out on any of them. If you want to be notified when I upload a new video, hit the bell notification. In today's video, I will be making these 2 adorable scrapbook Christmas trees. I used wood strips from Hobby Lobby and cut them in half. But you can always use paint sticks for this project. After cutting the strips down, I used a sanding block and sanded all the rough edges. Next, I used some buffalo check and Christmas-themed scrapbook paper that I got from Tuesday morning. I cut the paper down to fit each of the strips and then applied Mod Podge to attach the paper to the wood. I smoothed everything out, added extra Mod Podge to any places that didn't stick, and set each piece to the side to dry. After drying, I used a sanding block and sanded the paper. This gave the paper an aged look, which is what I was going for. On the first tree, I added antiquing wax for more of an aged appearance. I applied the wax and rubbed it off with a paper towel. I then found the center of each piece and made a mark so the trees would be even when I attached them. I laid the pieces out, lining up the marks I had made, and attached them using craft sticks and hot glue. I then applied a layer of Mod Podge to give each of the trees more of a finished look. I hope this part makes sense. It's hard to explain but simple to watch. I used 3 tumbling tower blocks to create the stand. The first 2 I placed going up and down on the tree. I left enough room below them for the 3rd block, which I placed going side to side. This is a simple project and would be a great craft idea for kids as long as an adult does the cutting. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I try to upload at least 4 DIY videos per week, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. To be notified when I upload a video, hit the bell notification. In today's video, I'm going to be making a whipped cream topper that can be placed on top of a mug. I think this is one of the cutest projects I have done so far. I love it. And it really wasn't that hard to do. I used a piece of cardboard and traced around the top of the mug I was going to be using. After I traced it, I cut just on the inside of the pencil mark. I picked up this 2-pack of styrofoam balls from Dollar Tree. I used a knife to cut one of the balls in half. I hot glued the styrofoam to the middle of the cardboard. This will help hold the caulk up while it dries, and it shortens the drying time. I cut the caulk tube at an angle. I started squeezing it out like I was applying frosting to a cupcake. I would suggest placing the cardboard and styrofoam on wax paper before doing this. I forgot to do that and had to move it afterwards. I used a paper straw and cut it down to size. I inserted the straw into the styrofoam to give the straw something to hold onto so it wouldn't fall down while the caulk was drying. I then used glitter and glitter tubes from Dollar Tree. I sprinkled them all around the top and the sides of the whipped cream. This gave the whipped cream a decorative touch. I sprayed a thin layer of adhesive onto the whipped cream just to make sure the sprinkles wouldn't fall off. This is where I had to move the topper onto the wax paper. Would have been easier if I had remembered to put everything on wax paper prior to adding the caulk. After about 48 hours, the caulk was set up enough for me to place it on top of the mug. I think it turned out so stinking cute. It's perfect for a tiara tray or just a little Christmas decor in your kitchen. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I am uploading 4 or more DIY videos each week, and you know you don't want to miss out on any of them. Hit the bell notification to be notified when I upload a new video. In today's video, I will be making these 2 extra large signs using items from Dollar Tree. I picked up these 2 tag signs on my weekly trip to Dollar Tree this week. I knew I could find a use for them. The first thing I had to do was remove the Noel at the bottom. It was actually pretty easy to pull the cardboard from the sign just using my fingers. And I actually put the Noel part to the side so I could use it on another project. I then took the sign outside and used my orbital sander to remove all the glitter from the sign. The first part of the sign, I wanted it to be black, so I used some black chalk paint to paint the entire sign. I then set it aside to let it dry. To create the buffalo print sign, I used Waverly Crimson chalk paint first and painted the entire sign. It did take 2 coats to cover everything. I used my hot air gun to dry the paint quicker. I'll leave a link in the description below for the hot air gun I used. It was under $20 and it saved so much time. It's amazing. I used a ruler to find the center of the tag and the center of my tape. I placed the first piece of tape, making sure the lines matched up, and started using painter's tape to create my vertical lines. I put down a piece of tape and then used another piece to make sure my lines were even. Once I had all the lines down, I used black chalk paint and painted them. Again, I used my hot air gun to dry the paint quicker. I removed the tape, and after making sure the black was dry, I started laying out my horizontal strips the same way as before and painted them. I used the same tape for both lines, but I would suggest using new tape. I had a few areas that bled and I had to touch them up with red paint. I got this cute SVG file from Design Bundles and a holiday bundle set for less than $20. I'll leave a link in the description for the bundle this is in. Design Bundles have some really great SVG files and saves me so much time trying to create my own, and the pricing is very reasonable. After cutting the file with my Cricut, I used the duck shelf liner as my transfer paper and applied the cutout to my black sign. I used gloss Mod Podge to give the black sign more of a finished look. And once again, I used my hot air gun. The more I use it, the more I love it. After the Mod Podge had dried, I used some spray adhesive and red and silver glitter on the sign, and then added another layer of Mod Podge to make sure the glitter stayed on the sign. I got this red and black bell ornament from Dollar Tree and wanted to try to use it with the signs. But after working with it for a while, I realized I needed something bigger since the tags were so big. So I just cut everything off of the red and black hanger, and I added 2 red bells and 1 black bell from a larger Dollar Tree ornament. I did a lot of twisting and turning and gluing, but I think the signs turned out amazing. Since these are made using cardboard, they are not suitable for an outdoor door hanger. They look great hanging on a wall inside of the house. I think they turned out amazing. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I am uploading 4 or more DIY videos each week, and you know you don't want to miss out on any of them. To be notified when I upload a video, hit the bell notification. Today I was going to do a video on creating ornaments using tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree. But then I had an idea. Let's make a Christmas tree out of these blocks. It took me a while to figure it out, but I love this little tree. I used a total of 62 blocks for this tree. To make the base for the tree, I used 3 blocks going up and down, and added a block to the top and the bottom of this set. I made 2 of these sets for the base. I stained both sets with antiquing wax and then glued the 2 sets together. I added large craft sticks to the bottom to help keep everything in place. Next, I started hot gluing sets of 3 blocks end to end. I also added a small craft stick on the bottom of each set. I did this for a total of 17 limbs. Next, I used a ruler and found the center to the limb. It was 15/16 on the center block. I used my drill and a bit the same size as the dowel. I would actually recommend using a bit a little larger than the dowel. I had to use scissors to make some of the holes larger when I started adding them to the dowel. I wanted the wood grain to show in the blocks, but I also wanted my tree to be green. I added some water, moss chalk paint, and black acrylic paint to a cup and mixed it well. I thought the moss was too light, so that's why I added the black to darken the green up a little. I painted one of the limbs first to check the color, and then went ahead and painted the dowel with the mixture and rubbed it off just like with antiquing wax. When I got ready to put the dowel in the base, I realized I needed to add another block to the top. So I simply hot glued it going against the grain and then drilled a hole in it. I filled the hole with hot glue and then inserted the dowel. I used more of the antiquing stain on this little block so it would match the rest of the base. I then set the base to the side and began staining the limbs of the tree with my green stain. I stained all 4 sides and both ends to each limb. This did take quite a while. I took a lunch break while the stain dried. When I got back, I added a layer of gloss Mod Podge. When staining wood using paint, it tends to be very flat and dull, and I wanted my tree to have a little bit of a shine. I did use my hot air gun to help speed up the drying time, and I'll leave a link for it in the description below. It was less than $20. And now it's time to assemble the tree. I began adding the limbs to the dowel. As you can see, I had to use my scissors to make most of the holes larger. That's why I suggest using a bit a size larger than the dowel. That way the limbs will just slide onto the dowel without a problem. At first I was going to try to stagger the limbs, but I didn't really like it. So what I wound up doing was just turning each limb a little as I went up the tree. And this is what it looked like when I was finished. I found this metal star in my stash and wanted to add it to the top of the tree. I removed the hanger from it and then rubbed the entire star down with rubbing alcohol. I have found by doing this, it helps the paint stick, especially to metal. I then painted it with ivory chalk paint. I wanted the star to look old and rustic, so I used my sanding block until I was happy with the way it looked. I then used a lot of hot glue to attach the star to the top of the tree. I probably used too much, but hey, better safe than sorry. I didn't want the star to fall off. I also added a very simple bow using some wired buffalo check ribbon I had on hand. I really like this little tree. I know it's not really farmhouse, but it is unique and one of a kind. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I am uploading 4 or more videos each week, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. To be notified when I upload a video, hit In today's video, I will be using this large Christmas ball from Dollar Tree to create a tiered tray decor piece. The first thing I did was remove the silver top from the ball and place it to the side. You will need to use this later. I then used red paint and mixed it with white glue. I stirred it until it was mixed well. The first time I tried this, I forgot the glue and the paint was streaky. So be sure to add the white glue or Mod Podge when you do this. I used a piece of wax paper because we all know how I am with paint. It goes everywhere eventually. I poured the paint inside of the ball and began moving the ball around to cover it. I then placed the ball upside down in a plastic cup to let the excess paint drain. After the ball had drained and dried overnight, it was time to decorate it. I sprayed rubbing alcohol and cleaned the outside using a paper towel. This helps to remove any paint that may have been on the outside of the ball and also any oils that may have been left by my hands, so the vinyl will stick better. I set the ball in a plastic cup to help hold it since it is round and wants to roll. I applied the vinyl as straight as I could. I did have a couple of places that wrinkled, but I was able to save it by gently lifting that area and reapplying the vinyl. I removed the hanger from the silver top and then hot glued the top back onto the ball. I applied a piece of twine to both sides in case you want to hang this ornament. I had this ribbon that I thought would look great on this red ball. I cut a piece down and glued it to the top of the silver piece. This was easy. I cut another piece of the ribbon and made a simple bow using a twist tie to hold it together. I'm telling you, I can't tie a decent bow to save my life. If you know of any good tutorials, please leave me a comment below. I need to watch more bow tying videos. So I knew I wanted to put the bow on the front, but what was I going to do about the rough edges around the top of the silver piece? Thick twine works every time. I cut and glued a piece of thick twine and made it end at the back of the ribbon. Perfect. This is the finished ball. I think it is so stinking cute. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas videos in the coming weeks, and you know you don't want to miss out on any of them. If you want to be notified when I upload a new video, hit. In today's video, I will be making this adorable fabric Christmas tree using an old plaid shirt. I had this metal pot from another project, so I decided to use it as the base. I had some round floral foam from Dollar Tree, and it actually fit perfectly in the bottom. I glued the floral foam to the inside bottom of the planner. I also added glue around the edge of the floral foam at the top. This way I know the tree is secure. I then used a dowel and made a hole in the floral foam. I took the dowel out and filled the hole with hot glue and replaced the dowel. I used my son's old shirt and cut it into strips. I started out measuring, and of course, I wound up just eyeballing it. The first 12 strips were 12 inches long and about 1.5 inches wide. The second 10 strips were 10 inches long and the same width, and that's when I quit measuring. I started at the bottom of the dowel with the 12-inch strips first and worked my way up. When I was done with the 12-inch strips, I started working with the 10-inch strips. I tried to turn the strips in different directions as I worked my way up the tree. I kept adding strips of fabric until I was about 1 inch from the top of the dowel. After adding all the fabric pieces, I used my scissors and snipped here and cut there to shape up my tree. I also turned some of the strips to fill everything in. I kept working with it until it looked the way I wanted. I found this star-shaped ornament and thought it was perfect for the top of the tree. I removed a couple of layers of the scrap fabric and glued the star to the dowel. I then replaced the fabric to cover up the glue. Sorry for the terrible angle, but the tree was sort of tall and I just couldn't get a good top-down shot. I think the tree is so cute. I will be using it as a centerpiece this Christmas. It has all my favorite colors: red, gray, black, and white. If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading new Christmas videos weekly, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. To be notified when I upload a video, hit the bell notification. In today's video, I will be making a tiered tray ladder out of a Michael's dollhouse picket fence. This was a pretty simple DIY, and I think it just turned out amazing. I used my utility knife to cut the fence on the side. I simply ran the knife across the wood a couple of times and then I would just snap it off. I tried to cut it as close as I could to the piece of wood that I was going to be keeping. After I'd cut all the pieces off, I used my utility knife to smooth the wood as much as I could. I then used my Dremel tool to sand the edges in an attempt to make them completely straight. I cut a small piece of greenery that I had actually got off of Facebook Marketplace and made a small wreath to hang on the ladder. I noticed that when I broke off the edges, some of the wood split, so I used my glue gun and glued them back into place. I used some white acrylic paint to paint the sides of the ladder to cover up any of the sanding marks. I placed the wreath on the ladder and attached it with my glue gun. I then added 3 little red berries from this floral I got from Dollar Tree to the wreath. It still needed something, so I cut a piece of this buffalo ribbon and tied a small bow and added it to the wreath. And of course, as you all know, I can't actually tie a bow. So what I did is I glued the tail down onto the wreath where I wanted it and used a piece of wire to create a bow. But anyways, I think it turned out pretty cute. And just look at how stinking cute it is with my tier tray. It actually turned out better than I originally expected. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas videos each week, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. To be notified when I upload a video, hit the bell notification. In today's video, I will be making this adorable stamped book using scrap wood. These little stamp books look amazing on tiered trays and bookshelves. They make wonderful handmade gifts for your family, friends, co-workers, and even as a Secret Santa gift. The wood I am using is approximately 3/4 inches thick, and I cut it down to 5 1/4 inches long and 3 1/2 inches wide. I originally painted the wood using white spray paint, but I decided to go over it with white acrylic paint. I painted the front and all 4 sides of the wood and set it aside to dry. While the wood was drying, I used my Cricut to cut out Merry Christmas. I weeded the vinyl and transferred it to some duck shelf liner. After the wood dried, I used hot glue and glued the 2 pieces of wood together, making sure they were flush in the front. I used a sanding block from Dollar Tree and sanded the wood to give it more of an aged appearance. I wiped the wood off using rubbing alcohol and then applied the vinyl to the wood. I lined the vinyl up on the side so I could add some twine. I used some cream wax and rubbed it over the wood and then used a soft cloth to remove the excess. I used a piece of twine and wrapped it around the book stack and tied a simple bow at the top. I added a dab of glue just to hold the bow so it wouldn't come undone. And then I trimmed the excess twine. I think these little miniature book stacks are just so stinking cute. They can be used year-round depending on the phrase you put on them. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas videos every week, and you know you do not want to miss them. In today's video, I am using these 2 little wood boxes I got from Hobby Lobby to create a couple of adorable tiered tray frame signs. The first thing I did is I removed the tag, the string, and the hanger from the back of both of these little boxes. On the first one, I'm going to try this white gel stain. I've never used this before, so I wanted to give it a try. I used a makeup sponge from Dollar Tree to apply the gel to the bottom of the box. I then used Waverly antiquing wax on the sides and back of the box to bring out the beautiful wood grain in the boxes. I didn't like the way the white gel looked, so I went over it with Waverly stain. I'm going to sit it aside for a little to see how I like it. On the second box, I taped up the sides of the box with painter's tape and painted the inside bottom of the box using white chalk paint. After the white paint had dried, I removed the tape. I added more tape around the bottom edge of the box and used my utility knife to trim away any excess. I then applied Waverly antiquing wax to the box and rubbed the excess off with a paper towel. I removed the painter's tape again, but I noticed some of the wax had bled through, so I reapplied the tape around the inside edge again and just touched up some of the areas. And I used my hot air gun to dry the paint a little quicker. I think the next time I do this, I will apply the stain first and then the white chalk paint to avoid having to do this again. I found these cute SVG files on Design Bundle's website. I used my Cricut to cut them out. I will leave a link in the description below to their website. I have found a lot of really cute designs, and they also have a free section. You will definitely want to check that out. I used duck shelf liner as transfer paper and transferred the vinyl to the box. If you haven't heard me say it before, this is the best thing I have ever found for transferring vinyl. I'll leave a link to it in the description also. I used my hot air gun in the same way I use my iron to set the vinyl. After applying the vinyl, I then added a thin layer of Mod Podge to the entire piece to give the sign a finished look. I use gloss, but you can use matte if you want to. And now back to the first sign we started with. After the Waverly wax had dried, I liked the look, so I went ahead and started working on it. I used another SVG file from Design Bundles and cut out this adorable red truck design. I have found doing the layering prior to placing it onto the product is a lot easier for me. I placed the largest image first, the truck, onto the transfer paper. I then centered the wheels and placed them on the transfer paper. And last, I aligned the tree with the back of the truck and placed it on the transfer paper. I applied the design to the box and used my hot air gun to warm up the vinyl and give it more of a hand-painted look. The hot air gun works just like my iron does. I applied Mod Podge for a finished look. I used my hot air gun again to speed up the drying time for the Mod Podge. And just look at how adorable this sign turned out. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading new Christmas videos every week, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. To be notified when I upload a video, hit the bell notification. In today's video, I will be making this adorable snow family using items I got from Dollar Tree. This little family makes a cute tiered tray display, or it can be placed on a table or a shelf. I used a piece of wood I got from Dollar Tree and painted it with white chalk paint. This will be the base for our little snow family. For the Snow Dad, I used 3 styrofoam balls from Dollar Tree, 1 large, 1 medium, and 1 small. I hot glued the balls together, centering them as I went. For the Snow Mom, I used 2 styrofoam balls, one large and one medium, and I glued her the same way I did him. And for the Snow Kid, I used 2 styrofoam balls, one medium and one small, gluing him the same way I did the other 2. To speed up the drying process, I used my new Tack Life mini hot air gun from Amazon. It was only $15 and well worth it. I'll leave a link in the description below in case you're interested. After the wood was dry, I began arranging the little family on the board. I hot glued each of them into their place. This did make dressing them a little hard, so I would recommend dressing them before attaching them to the wood. For the Snow Boy, I used some red and black rope I got from Dollar General. I believe it was only $1. I wrapped it around his neck to resemble a scarf using hot glue to keep it in place. I unraveled the ends and gave them a frayed look. For Snow Dad, I used a solid red rope from Dollar General. It was also $1. I used 3 strings and wrapped it around his neck the same way I did for the Snow Kid, using hot glue to put everything in place. For Snow Mom, I wanted her to be a little fancier, so I used some red and white wire ribbon to create her scarf, and I tied it on the side of her neck. This was a little tricky, but I think it was well worth it because she is so cute. I originally started working on this little burlap hat for Snow Kid, but then I decided I wanted it for Snow Dad. I used a piece of wired burlap ribbon. I cut the ribbon in half because it was too wide and didn't look right as a hat. I cut the wire off the other side of the ribbon and hot glued it to the hat side of the ribbon. I then took 2 pieces of burlap that I had cut off and I crisscrossed them and glued them together, and then I glued them to the top of the hat. I took my scissors and trimmed around the top of the hat so that everything lined up. For the Snow Kid's hat, I used an old shirt and cut it out to resemble a stocking hat. I turned the shirt inside out and hot glued the 2 sides. I then turned the hat the right way and hot glued it to the Snow Kid's head. I realized the hat needed something, so I took a white pom-pom and glued it to the end of the stocking hat. Perfect. I wanted to tie Snow Dad and Snow Kid together, so I used a small piece of the fabric I used for Snow Kid's hat and put it around the middle of Snow Dad's hat. Now for Snow Mom's hat. I wanted her to have something frilly. I had an old roll of ribbon that had a little flower on it. Only problem was, it was white. So I mixed some red paint and water to create a dye, since I didn't have anything else to dye the flower with. After mixing it together well, I simply used it to paint the flower. I used my hot air gun to dry the flower quicker, and once it was dry, I glued it to the Snow Mom's head. I used a black Sharpie for their eyes and nose, and a pink Sharpie for their mouths. I think they all turned out pretty stinking cute if you ask me. What do you think? If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading a ton more Christmas videos in the weeks to come, and I know you don't want to miss any of them. If you want to be notified when I upload a new video, hit the bell notification. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I created these cute Christmas shadow boxes using Dollar Tree signs. The signs were already white, so I didn't have to paint them. I did glue scrap paper from Hobby Lobby to the inside of both and added some natural nautical rope from Dollar Tree. The first thing was to stain the tree trunks with Waverly wax. I applied the stain and rubbed it off. The pieces of wood I'm using are leftovers from previous projects, so there was very little cutting that I had to do for this. I used leftover tree pieces for the trees. The scrapbook paper I'm using I got from Tuesday morning. It was on sale. I think I got it for about $5 for a 25-piece pack. I cut the scrapbook paper down so it would fit on the tree. I then used Mod Podge to glue the paper to the wood. I got this little brush out of the makeup section at Dollar Tree. The brushes work great for applying Mod Podge and also for painting. The bristles don't fall out like regular cheap paint brushes. I would definitely recommend grabbing a few of these. I folded the edges over the wood and glued them down also. I went ahead and glued the small tree and the trunk to the box. I cut down the scrapbook paper for the larger tree and used Mod Podge the same way I did for the smaller tree. I wanted the second tree to stick out a little, so I used a tumbling tower block and hot glued it to the back of the tree. I also went ahead and glued the trunk to the tree. I made sure it was going to fit and then hot glued the second tree to the box. I think it turned out pretty stinking cute. For the second box, I hot glued two pieces of wood together to make one tree. Like I said, I'm using scrap pieces of wood from other projects. I wanted this tree to be made with twine, so I added a bead of glue at the bottom of the tree and then placed the twine in the bead of glue. I did this for the first few rows of the tree, and then I just started wrapping the twine until I got closer to the top, adding glue just when I needed it. Once I got to the top, I still didn't really like how it looked, so I just started wrapping the twine in different patterns up and down the tree. I attached a block and the trunk to the back of the tree. This was a really fun and easy Christmas project. I hope you enjoyed it and get a little inspiration for your own. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will have a ton more Christmas videos in the weeks to come, and I know you don't want to miss any of them. If you want to be notified when I upload a video, hit the bell notification. Hi there, all my crafty friends. In today's video, I will be trying, and let me emphasize trying, to make the cute little chocolate covered marshmallows that are so popular right now. For the most part, they came out cute, but if you look closely, the chocolate didn't dry correctly. So I'll be showing you what not to do if you decide to try your hand at these. I will be creating another video showing the correct things to do. I just wanted everyone to see all crafters make mistakes, and we all have to learn from them. I first spray painted them all white and then added a layer of white chalk paint and let that dry. While the paint was drying, I cut the faces out using my Cricut. I think these little faces are just the cutest. I used transfer paper to transfer the faces onto the marshmallows, making sure they lined up the way I wanted them to. I mixed some nutmeg brown paint and glue together. The glue helps to make the paint thicker and makes it look more like chocolate. You can also use Mod Podge for this. I stirred the mixture until it was consistent. I used old paint that was really thick, so I had to keep adding paint to water it down some. And I think that was mistake number one. After mixing the paint and glue, I outlined where I wanted the brown paint to flow and sat it aside to dry. I did this on all 4 marshmallows. This was a suggestion I saw on another video I had watched, but to be honest, it didn't work. So mistake number 2 had been made. Once the paint and glue mixture had some time to set up and dry, I started pouring the mixture over the top of the marshmallows. I would rotate the marshmallow to allow the chocolate to flow down. Everything was looking great up to this point, even though the brown paint sort of went where it wanted to. Something about me that you may not know. I am not a very patient person. So this is where the big problem started. I thought I would just use my hot air gun to help the paint dry. It just seemed like it was taking forever. Big mistake. If you watch, you can see that the paint on the outside was drying. But because the paint was so thick, the paint under the top layer was not drying. The paint began clumping up and looked like it had holes in it. Then I decided to cover up the crappy looking paint by just adding more paint. And hey, why not try using the hot air gun again? Another mistake has been made. The 6 things I learned from this failed project. 1. Use good glue, not clumpy glue. 2. Add faces after you have poured the paint and let it dry. 3. Do not paint how you want it to flow, because it's going to flow where it wants. 4. Learn patience. This is a big one for me. 5. Do not use hot air gun. Let the paint dry on its own. And finally, 6. Don't add more paint on top of crappy looking paint. It just makes it look even worse. I hope this video will help you know what not to do if you decide to try your hand at making these little marshmallow decorations. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading a ton of videos between now and Christmas, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. To be notified when I upload a new video, hit the bell notification. Today I'm making some cute beaded ornaments that can be hung on a tree or sat on a table or bookcase to add a little boho to your decor. The beads I'm using are from Amazon, and I'll leave a link in the description for them. I am also using various string and twine from Dollar Tree. I saw these ornaments on Pinterest and thought they were so cute I wanted to give them a try. The first has a total of 5 beads in 3 different sizes, and I used Waverly wax to stain the beads. I strung the beads onto the string, starting with the smaller bead and working my way up to the larger. I then did the pattern in the reverse order. To create the tassel, I used my fingers and wrapped more of the string around them until it was the thickness I liked. After I removed the string from my fingers, I used one end of the beaded string and tied it to the middle of my tassel. I pushed the beads down onto the tassel and made a small loop at the top. I twisted some of the rope around itself and added a dab of hot glue to hold everything together. I cut the tassel in the middle and untwisted and frayed the string of the tassel using my fingers and a stiff brush. This is what the first ornament looks like finished. With the second ornament, I left the beads natural and strung them onto the same string I used for the first. I added 2 small beads, 1 medium bead, 1 large bead, and then I reversed the order on the other side of the larger bead. I created the tassel this time using my fingers and tied it off the same way as I did before. For this ornament, I used a thin piece of wood from Dollar Tree and a pattern I found online to create a pair of angel wings. I traced the pattern onto the wood and used my miter saw to cut it as close as I could. I then used my Dremel tool with some medium grit sandpaper to get the wings shaped up. I used a sanding block to smooth the edges. I used Waverly wax to stain the wings and bring out the wood grain. To create the angel's body, I used a piece of wood and wrapped some string around it until it was the thickness I wanted. After tying the tassel in the middle and pulling it off of the wood, I separated the tassel in the middle for the wings. I applied hot glue and attached the wings to the inside of the tassel. I cut a short piece of string and tied it around the waist area of the angel. I took a bead that I had stained and placed it on the string at the top of the angel for the head. I then cut the tassel and trimmed everything up. Once I was finished, this is the angel ornament. I think it's adorable. This is my favorite ornament out of all 5 of these that I made. This was the simplest of all the ornaments. I simply wrapped the string around a piece of wood to the thickness that I wanted, tied it at the top. I added a large stained bead to the top and added a dab of hot glue in the middle of the bead. I created the hanger by simply tying a knot in the string at the top. This ornament is simple to make, yet beautiful and elegant to display. For the final ornament, I used a small clear round ornament from Dollar Tree and some natural nautical rope. I removed the silver hanger from the top of the ornament and started adding the rope by applying hot glue and pressing the rope into the glue. I continued doing this until the entire ornament was covered. At the bottom, I cut the rope, added hot glue, and pressed the end piece of the rope into the hot glue. For the hanger, I cut some of the rope off and made a loop. I had untwisted a piece of the rope to make it smaller, and I hot glued this part onto the hanger part. After I finished, I hot glued the entire hanger portion onto the top of the ball where the hole was. And this is what they all look like together. I haven't put up my big tree yet, but these ornaments are going to look amazing on it. I'm so happy with the way they turned out. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas videos in the weeks to come. Earlier this week, I had an epic day of creating Rae Dunn Inspired wooden Christmas tags. These little tags look amazing on a tiare tray or hanging from a Christmas tree or wreath. I created a template using a tag I had gotten from Tuesday Morning. I traced the tag onto wood I had gotten from Hobby Lobby. The tags measure approximately 4.5 inches long by 2.5 inches wide. In preparation, I went ahead and cut all the tags using my miter saw and then sanded them all with my orbital sander. I had originally painted some of the tags with spray paint, but I decided to go over them with chalk paint and let them dry. I used my Cricut to cut out several Christmas sayings using a Rae Dunn Inspired font. I will leave a link in the description below if you are interested in getting the pre-cut vinyl. The first tag was painted white, and I transferred the word believe using transfer paper. I thought it needed something more, so I added 2 beads I had already painted onto a piece of twine and then added it to the tag. Look at how cute the sign is, and I just love the pop of color the red beads give it. After the first tag was finished, I decided to do all the tags at one time for each step. What I mean is I added the vinyl to all of the tags before moving on to the next step. The second tag was painted red, and I added the word joy in white vinyl. The next tag was painted black, and I added faith in white vinyl to it. The next tag was painted black and I added Jolly in white vinyl. The next tag had been painted red and I added Jingle in white vinyl to it. The next tag was painted red and I added Ho 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 in white vinyl. The next tag had been painted red and I added Happy Holidays in white vinyl. The next tag had been painted black and I added Bah Humbug in white vinyl. And this tag was painted black and I added Silent Night in white vinyl. After I had applied the vinyl to all the tags, I used my iron and a thin piece of fabric to help seal the vinyl. This also gives my wood projects more of a hand-painted look. By doing this, the vinyl will kind of melt into all the crevices and cracks of the wood. The next step was to seal and protect the tags with Mod Podge. I painted each tag with Mod Podge and put it to the side to let it dry. Once the Mod Podge was dry, I added embellishments to some of the tags. I used twine and ribbon on each of the tags so it could be hung on a tree or taken off so it can be sat on a table, tier, tray, or a shelf. I had so much fun doing all these little signs. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas videos every week, and you know you do not want to miss any of them. To be notified when I do upload a video, hit the bell notification. In today's video, I will be making these adorable miniature wire Christmas trees that can be used on a tiered tray. I couldn't make up my mind if I wanted to use the silver or the green trees. I finally decided on the silver ones. I removed the bell at the bottom using a pair of jewelry pliers, and I also removed the star from the top. I suggest leaving the star on because I wind up at the end hot gluing the star back on. I used my drill and a large bit to drill holes in a couple of the little wood pieces from Dollar Tree. I didn't drill all the way through the wood, just enough to add the tree and some hot glue. It took some work, but I finally was able to get the little round end off of the bottom of the tree. It was tough, and I just had to keep moving the pliers back and forth until it finally broke. I added hot glue to the hole I had drilled into the wood and placed the end of the metal tree. I held it until the glue had set up enough to hold it itself. I wanted to make sure it would stand up straight. Now for the second tree. I used the screw gun again and drilled a hole the same way I did the first time. I made sure the bottom of the tree fit into the hole before using hot glue. Glad I did because I had to drill the hole a little bit more. I added the hot glue and held the tree like I did before. I then hot glued the stars back onto the tree, so I would recommend not taking them off to start with. I pulled on the wire limbs of the tree until the trees began to look something like what I was wanting. This is a super easy DIY, and these little trees look amazing on a tier tray. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas DIYs in the weeks to come, and you know you don't want to miss them. To be notified when I upload a new video, just hit the bell notification. In today's video, I will be making 3 wood Christmas trees using these cute little ornaments that I got from Michael's. These little ornaments were only 99 cents, and I could not get them. They were just so stinking cute. I removed the twine hangers and the sticker from all the Christmas trees. I lightly sanded the trees with a sanding block. For the first tree, I used a hot glue gun and glued the tree to a Dollar Tree tumbling tower block. After the tree had set up, I stained it using Waverly wax. I just love the little indentions in the tree. I stained all sides, including the tumbling block. I then wiped off the wax using a paper towel. I wanted to give the tree more of a rustic farmhouse look, so I used a couple of layers of white chalk paint and painted just the tree on the front and the back. I didn't paint the star on top or the trunk at the bottom. After the paint had dried, I used my sanding block to give the paint a worn look. I just sanded it until I liked the way it looked. I then lightly sprayed the tree with rubbing alcohol and wiped it clean with a paper towel. I use rubbing alcohol because it dries faster than water. After letting the alcohol evaporate a little, I added Mod Podge to the entire tree to give it more of a finished look. I love the way this tree turned out. I just can't decide if I like the front or the back better. Let me know in the comments which side you like. For this little Christmas tree, I used scrapbook paper with a Christmas design. I stained the front of the tree with Waverly wax, and on the back, the smooth side, I only stained the star and the trunk. I applied Mod Podge to the tree and pressed down on the paper to make sure all the bubbles were smoothed out. I took my scissors and trimmed the paper from the side of the tree. I wanted the scrapbook paper only on the smooth side of the tree. After everything was trimmed, I went back with Mod Podge and glued down any of the areas that were sticking up or not glued down well. I thought the scrapbook paper was a little too new looking, so I applied a light layer of Waverly stain to give it more of an aged look. I then hot glued a tumbling towers block to the bottom as the base and stained it. I finished the tree off with a layer of Mod Podge for a finished look. For this tree, I used a wood slice as the base and hot glued the tree to it. I should have waited until I was finished with the tree on this one. The base made it a little harder to apply the paper. I traced around the tree and cut out the paper to the size of the tree. I applied Mod Podge to the back of the tree and added the paper. I pressed it down to make sure there wasn't any bubbles. I thought the paper was a little too new looking, so I used Waverly stain and stained the entire tree, including the paper. I also stained the base. I think next time I will leave the base natural. It just turned out too dark. These little Christmas trees turned out so stinking cute. I just wish Michael's would have had more than 3 of them. This is a simple DIY with a big impact. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas decor and gift ideas in the upcoming weeks, and you know you don't want to miss those. To be notified when I upload a video, just hit the bell notification. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I make these cute mini stacked books using scrap wood. These books work great on tiered trays, bookcases, tables, or just about anywhere you want to show them off. The wood I'm using today is approximately 3/4 inches thick, 5 1/4 inches long, and 3 1/4 inches wide. I'm using some leftover wood from a project I did a while back. I used sheetrock mud to fill in some cracks. After it dried, I sanded it smooth. I didn't have any red chalk paint, so I mixed some up so I could create the color I wanted. I'll leave a link to that video in the description below. And I started painting the 2 pieces of wood. I then applied hot glue and centered the books on top of each other. I am only using 2 blocks for this stacked book project, but you can use as many as you want. After I applied the glue, I held the books down for just a moment to make sure that the glue was sealing well. I then used a block sander from Dollar Tree and sanded the chalk paint so it would have a smooth feel, and also it gave it more of a rustic look, which is what I was going after. After I was finished sanding, I sprayed some rubbing alcohol onto the block and rubbed it with a paper towel. This helps to get any sand dust off of the wood. I have found rubbing alcohol to be the best at this because it dries quickly. I used my Cricut to cut out Merry Christmas at a size that would fit on the side. I used my duck shelf liner to transfer the words to the book. I have to say, this shelf liner is amazing. It works so much better than transfer paper. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. See how easily it picks up the letters to be transferred? I don't even have to apply that much pressure. I usually just rub my finger across the letters and they stick. I made sure the words lined up the way I wanted them to, and also that they were straight. I picked up this Americana cream wax at Tuesday morning yesterday to give it a try. I don't know if you have a Tuesday morning near you, but if you do, make sure you check out their clearance section. That's where I got this wax, and I paid less than $1 for it. I took a soft cloth and rubbed the wax over the entire book stack. I let the wax dry for about 15 minutes. I had this wired burlap ribbon I wanted to add to the book stack. I cut the ribbon down to size and hot glued it to the back of the books. Next, I made a simple bow and tied it in the middle with some lace I had left over. I cut little notches at the end of the bow. I say notches because I don't know what they're called. If you know what the name of this is, please let me know in the comments. I messed around with the bow until I was happy with the way it looked, and then glued it to the ribbon that was already on the book stack. These little books can be used for all different occasions. This is just my Christmas version of them. If you are interested in purchasing the set or the pre-cut vinyl so you can make your own, I'll leave a link in the description below. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. In today's video, I will be showing you how I made this adorable gnome wood tag for tiara trays or Christmas ornaments. I used wood from Hobby Lobby because it's lightweight. I cut the tags down to 4.5 inches long and 2.5 inches high. This is a great handmade Christmas gift for family and friends, and it's not that hard to do. All you need is wood, paint, vinyl, and some twine. The first tag is a custom order with a white background. I really loved putting this one together. I painted the wood with white spray paint and used my Cricut to cut out the image. I'll leave a link in the description below for the pre-cut vinyl that I used if you're interested. I centered the vinyl and applied it to the tag. I used duck shelf liner for my transfer paper. And I'm telling you, if you haven't tried it, you are missing out. This is the best thing I have ever used to transfer vinyl. It picks up even the smallest script without a problem. And it can be used multiple times before it starts wearing out. After I got the vinyl applied, I put a layer of Mod Podge for a finished look. I then added some twine so the tag could be hung. I think this one turned out amazing. I guess I'll have to make one for myself also. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be uploading more Christmas videos every week, and I know you do not want to miss out on them. If you want to be notified when I upload a new video, just hit the bell notification. Now it's time to create this adorable gnome using a mini beer bottle. I painted the bottle with white paint and let it dry. The bottle I'm using is actually a Corona Mini, but any mini bottle will work for this project. I took a pair of slippers that I got from Dollar Tree and turned them inside out. I wanted to use the furry side for the gnome. Then I stuck the beer bottle into the slipper, and I used my Monvic glue gun to secure the slipper to the bottle. I cut the slipper from the bottom of the bottle so it would be able to sit flat without leaning. And I added glue to the bottom to secure the little bit of fluff that was around the edge. I took a large wood bead and placed it at the middle rim of the bottle. This is going to be my gnome's, this will be his nose. After many failed attempts of creating the hat, I finally figured it out. I used a buffalo check dog bandana I also got from Dollar Tree. I wrapped it around the top portion of the bottle and then cut it down to the size I needed. I turned the bandana inside out and glued it down the seams. After letting the hot glue cool for a minute, I turned the bandana right side out and started messing with it. I put it back on the bottle just to make sure it was going to fit the way I wanted it to, and it did. I decided to put a white pom-pom at the end of the hat to give my gnome a Santa vibe. Before attaching the hat, I had to remove the nose that I had glued down earlier without thinking. That's why you see a hole in the white fur. I began cutting down some gray yarn for his beard. I probably cut about 25 to 30 pieces of yarn. I glued the yarn down around the nose and face area. This took quite a while to finish since I was gluing each piece of yarn individually. Now it's time to add the nose and the hat. I put the hat on first and let the ends of the yarn stick out from under the hat. I then glued the nose at the top middle of the face. As you can see, this gave my little gnome a mustache and beard look. I thought that was cute. I haven't really seen any gnomes with a mustache before. He needed a bit of a trim, so I trimmed the beard around the bottom. I found a couple of places that needed extra yarn, so I went ahead and added that also. I continued to trim his beard until I was happy with the way he looked. And this is how he turned out. I continued messing with his hat until it was just right. This is the completed beer bottle gnome along with a couple of his friends. They are also stinking cute. If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will have a lot more Christmas videos coming out, and I know you don't want to miss any of them. Today I will be making this tiara tray using Dollar Tree stove covers, a plunger stick, and large wood beads from Amazon. I think the tray turned out amazing. I used part of a plunger I had already cut down to size and stained for an earlier project. I took the larger stove cover and turned it upside down. I had to find the center of the circle, and this was the hardest part. I began measuring over and finally found it. I placed the plunger in the center and marked around it. I applied E6000 and hot glue to the plunger stick and held it in place for a while until the hot glue stuck. I did the same thing with the smaller cover, except I marked it on the top. I then applied more E6000 and hot glue and attached it to the bottom part. While the hot glue set up a little longer, I stained 6 large beads using Waverly wax. And I have got to start wearing gloves when I do this. Look at my hands. After wiping down all the beads and letting them sit for a little bit, I turned the tray over and started applying the feet, or the wood beads, to the tray with hot glue. I didn't measure, I just eyeballed where I thought the beads should go. I love the way the tray turned out. The top is a little flimsy, so I won't be putting anything breakable on it, but it's still a beautiful tray for the holidays. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be uploading more Christmas videos in the weeks to come. If you want to be notified. In today's video, I will be making this cute candy cane garland. Perfect handmade gift for family or friends, or better yet, for yourself. I cut down a piece of wood I got from Dollar Tree and drilled a hole in the top center. Then I used my Waverly stain and stained the entire piece. After the stain had set up, I took the piece outside and spray painted it white. The garland actually turned out better than I expected. This is a simple handmade gift, perfect for family and friends this Christmas season. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas videos every week, and I know you don't want to miss out on them. Today I'm going to make a cute Santa sleigh tiara tray decoration and add a cute little Santa gnome to the sleigh. I think this is my favorite Christmas project so far this year. I am truly in love with the way this turned out. You will need a Slate ornament. I got this one at, you guessed it, Dollar Tree. After I took the tag and the decorations off of it, I used a pair of wire cutters to take the small part off the back of the sleigh where you would hang it from a tree. This was a little tough, but I just kept wiggling it back and forth until it came off. I then taped up the top portion and sides of the sleigh with painter's tape. I only left the bottom and the rails untaped. And it took some creativity to figure out how to get this thing taped up. After I had the sleigh taped up, I took it outside and spray painted it black. I let it dry for a few hours before I brought it back in. After it was dry, I removed the painter's tape. I applied Mod Podge to help the chalk paint adhere to the metal. After the Mod Podge was dry, I painted the inside and the outside of the sleigh with some red chalk paint. It took a couple of coats to get the color I was looking for without any streaks. And now it's time to start the Santa gnome. I took a thread spool and attached a wood bead to the top using hot glue. I used some Dollar Tree white nautical rope for the beard. This was a new pack, so I used the end that was taped. I eyeballed the length I needed and cut the rope. I untwisted the rope. This took some time, but it was well worth it. Then I used a stiff brush and brushed it out and added the beard to the bead using a dab of hot glue. I used a tree skirt I got at Dollar Tree for the Santa's hat. I cut it down to size and then added hot glue and attached it to the middle of the bead. I then started twisting and hot gluing the hat down the way I wanted. And the final touch, I added a pom-pom to the end. Now it's time to add Santa to his sleigh. I needed him to sit a little higher, so I added a short stem to raise him up. I then glued him to the inside middle of the sleigh. This is the final look. I think it is so stinking cute. This was a simple project and it looks amazing on my simple tiara tray. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will have more of Christmas videos every week until Christmas, and you know you don't want to miss them. So today I'm going to show you how to make these adorable rustic wood tiara tray signs or Christmas decorations, and this adorable Santa sleigh with a little Santa gnome inside. For the signs, I started with wood I got from Hobby Lobby, and I cut it down to 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares. I mixed black paint and water to give the wood a stained look without having to use stain. I painted the blocks with the paint and water mixture and then wiped them all off with a paper towel. While the wood was drying, I used my Cricut and cut out 4 little Christmas designs that I liked. I will leave a link in the description below for the pre-cut vinyl in case you don't have a cutting machine and you want to do this project. I will also include some other designs I have made. After the wood was dried, I applied the vinyl to each of the blocks, making sure I had centered each design. I then used my iron and a thin piece of fabric to melt the vinyl into all the cracks and crevices of the wood. This gives the blocks more of a hand-painted look without the mess of paint. This is my secret every time I'm working with vinyl and putting it on wood. And this is what each block looked like after I applied the vinyl. Next, I added a piece of twine to the back of each block so it could be hung or just sat on a flat surface. On the Believe sign, I added a small burlap bow to set it apart from the others. I love the way they all turned out. If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Today, I will be making this cute Christmas mini garland that is perfect for a tiara tray and this adorable Christmas mini wood sign. Not only are these perfect for tiara trays, but they also make great gift-giving ideas for this Christmas. I painted beads in black, red, and white using a stand that I created so I wouldn't get paint all over my hands. If you want to see how I painted the beads without getting paint everywhere, I will leave a link to that video in the description below. I started stringing the beads on a thin piece of twine I got from Dollar Tree. I know a lot of people suggest putting tape at the end to help the twine from unraveling, but I've tried that and it just doesn't work for me. What I do is just trim the end or twist the twine when it starts getting frazzled. I will also use a pair of scissors or a pair of tweezers to clean out the hole in the bead if it seems to have leftover wood pieces in it. Now we need to create a tassel for the end of our garland. I only created one tassel for the end, but now I wish I would have made two. But of course, I cut the end too short to add a tassel unless I want to restring everything. So I guess I'll be making another one with tassels at both ends. I used some lace ribbon from Dollar Tree, some wired buffalo check ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and some of the twine I used to create the garland. I cut everything to about the same length, and I also cut the wired part off of the buffalo ribbon. I didn't want my tassel to be stiff. I then cut the buffalo ribbon down to about the same width as the lace ribbon. So this gave me 3 strips of the buffalo ribbon, which of course meant I needed 3 strips of lace ribbon and twine. I layered all the ribbon together by stacking one on top of another. I used some more twine and wrapped it around the top of the tassel. I tied a double knot to start, and I left the end of the knot at the top of the tassel. This will help when attaching the tassel to the garland. You can't really see what I'm doing, but I am attaching the tassel to the garland by tying it with the tail of the string that I left out. I will do another video showing this closer up and at a different angle so you can see it. I then added a dab of hot glue to the top of the tassel and the first bead on the garland, just to make sure everything was secure. I tied a simple double knot at the other end so the beads wouldn't fall off. I wanted more of a tattered look, so I began stripping off some of the pieces of the buffalo ribbon. This gave it more of a fringed appearance. I did leave one of the buffalo ribbons alone. When I was finished, this is what it looked like. I think it's just adorable. I saw this little sign on Pinterest and thought it was so cute. I wanted to make one for myself. I am using a piece of scrap wood I cut down to a 4x4 square and sanded smooth. I painted the wood using Apple Barrel Vanilla Ice Cream acrylic paint instead of white. I just wanted something a little different. I painted the front, back, and all 4 sides. While the paint was drying, I used my Cricut to cut out the words for the sign. I will leave a link in the description below for both the completed sign and the pre-cut vinyl so you can create your own sign if you don't have a Cricut. I applied the vinyl to the wood block, making sure everything was centered and lined up correctly. This is the trickiest part to the whole project. I then use my secret to applying vinyl. I use my iron and a thin piece of fabric to give the piece more of a hand-painted look. By doing this, the vinyl will melt into the cracks and crevices of the wood. I then applied a thin layer of Mod Podge to give it a finished look. And this is the finished look. It is so stinking cute and it fits perfectly on my tiered tray. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will have a lot more Christmas videos in the upcoming weeks leading to Christmas, and you know you don't want to miss them. In today's video, I will be making these cute little joy bottles that can be added to your Christmas decor or given as a gift. I will leave a link in the description below where you can purchase the complete set or just the pre-cut vinyl for this project. The items you will need for this project are 3 bottles painted white, 2 wide ribbon in the color and pattern of your choice, 3 some twine, and 4 a hot glue gun. I used one of the bottles to measure the ribbon and then cut 4 pieces of ribbon to that length. I was using a wired ribbon and I just didn't like the way the wire was laying on the bottle, so I simply pulled the wire out of the top and bottom of the ribbon. This made the ribbon easier to work with and fold the way I wanted around the bottle. I did this with all 4 ribbons that I had cut. I then placed the ribbon where I wanted it on the bottle. I folded down the edges of the ribbon and then used my trusty hot glue gun to glue it to the back. I did the same step with all 3 bottles. And this is how they looked after I added the ribbon. So now I had to cover up the top of the bottles. I used some twine from Dollar Tree and started just below the bottom lip of the bottle. I added a little hot glue and started wrapping the twine around until I'd reached the top. When I got to the top, I added a little more hot glue and cut the twine off, pushing the tail of the twine into the hot glue. I continued doing this until all 3 bottles were completed. And this is what they look like. I used my Cricut and cut out the letters for Joy using a Rae Dunn Inspired font from DeFont. I just love this font and try it on everything. I didn't use transfer paper. I simply pulled the letters off and placed them in the center of the ribbon on the front of the bottle. I wanted to make sure I was keeping the seam in the back. It was a little tricky applying the letters, but I think it would have been harder if I would have used transfer paper. After looking at the bottles, I decided to add some twine around the bottom portion of the bottles also. I started applying the twine right at the edge of the ribbon, making sure I started it on the back side of the bottle. I applied hot glue and wrapped the twine around until I got to the bottom of the bottle. To finish it off, I used some Christmas tree greenery from one of Dollar Tree's Christmas ornaments. I'm going to be using the ornament itself in another video, but I didn't need the greenery for what I have in mind. I picked where I wanted the items to go on the bottles and simply hot glued everything into place. And this is what the bottles look like after I completed them. They are ready to be added to some Christmas decor. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more Christmas videos and you know you don't want to miss any of them. If you want to be notified when I do upload a new video, just hit the bell notification. Look at this adorable Christmas sign made using Dollar Tree items, Hobby Lobby ribbon, and my Cricut. It would look perfect on any wall this Christmas season. I will be selling this in my store. If you are interested in purchasing the completed sign or just the pre-cut vinyl, I'll leave a link in the description below. This was a simple craft. I used a silver charger from Dollar Tree and I painted it with Rust-Oleum white flat enamel paint. Then I used my Cricut to create the cutout. I weeded and then transferred it all to the charger, making sure I had it centered. I painted matte Mod Podge over the entire charger. I used this clear shelf liner by Duck as my transfer paper. I've been having a lot of problems with transfer paper not wanting to stick, so I picked some of this up and I will tell you, it is the best thing since sliced bread. I'll add a link to the description for this product just in case you want to try it out. Then I took some Dollar Tree natural nautical rope and hot glued it around the edge of the charger, starting at the top center. I would simply add some glue, then hold the rope down in place. I found a few places that didn't stick too well, so I went back and added more glue and held it down. And I did burn my fingers a couple of times. I used my scissors to cut the extra rope off the top, and I think it's time for a new pair of scissors. I created a loop and hot glued some of it to itself. I held it in place for a moment. Then I cut off the excess rope. I found the top center and glued the loop onto the charger. I used some buffalo check wire ribbon I had gotten from Hobby Lobby. And believe it or not, but I actually found this exact same ribbon at Dollar General today for $2. I took the ribbon and made 2 loops about the size of my hand, then tied them together using a piece of twine. I hot glued the bow to the charger and fluffed it up until I liked the way it looked. I then realized some of the rope still wasn't glued down, so I did a quick touch-up. And voila, I was done. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be putting out new Christmas videos from now until Christmas Day. If you want to be notified when I upload a new video, simply hit the bell notification. In today's video, I will be showing you how I made this custom order Christmas sign. After I was finished sanding, I sprayed rubbing alcohol onto the sign and wiped it down with a rag. This helps to remove all the sand dust from the wood. I then measured and found the center of the sign and made a mark with a pencil. You want to know where the middle is so everything is centered and not lopsided. I started placing the vinyl on the sign, keeping in mind where the middle was. Some of the pieces were large enough that I didn't use transfer tape, but other pieces I had to. And now for my little secret. When I do any vinyl sign, I always place a thin cloth on the item and use my iron. This helps the vinyl to stick better and gives the piece more of a hand-painted look. After the first try, I still didn't like the way the vinyl was laying, so I ironed the sign again. It's funny that I'll use an iron on my signs, but I'll toss a shirt back into the dryer 3 or 4 times to get the wrinkles out. I really hate to iron. You really can't tell it on here, but the vinyl has actually melted into the creases of the sign. This is what gives it more of a hand-painted look than just sticking the vinyl on. This is what the final product looks like. I hope my customer loves it as much as I do. I may have to make another one just for myself. Leave me a comment if you have any tips or tricks when it comes to making vinyl signs. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be publishing a lot more Christmas crafts in the weeks to come. If you want to be notified when I upload a new video, just hit the bell notification. In today's video, I have this super cute and super easy rope Christmas tree tutorial. I just loved putting this together. You will need a canning lid or something round with edges, 4 skewers from Dollar Tree, a bead that the skewers will all fit in, and of course a hot glue gun and sticks. The first thing I did was to hot glue all 4 skewers into the bead at the top. Then I just pulled the skewers to the side and glued them around the lid, and it looks something like this. You will also need some rope. I got this from Dollar Tree. I started by gluing the rope to the bottom around the lid. And then I added hot glue to the skewers and started wrapping the rope around it. I had to use 2 packages of the rope from Dollar Tree to completely wrap the tree. You could make the tree shorter by simply clipping the skewers shorter and only use 1 rope. Once I got to the top, I cut the rope and pressed it into the space so it was flush with the rest of the rope. And this was the final look. I just loved it, and I can't wait to incorporate it into my Christmas decor. In today's video, I will show you how to create these book stacks that everyone has fallen in love with, and this adorable little gnome. I created both of these for less than $5, and you can too. So stay tuned. I used these 3 books from Dollar Tree. I was able to find books with covers so I can use them for several different projects. I took the covers outside and spray painted them with white Rust-Oleum flat enamel paint and let them dry. While the books dried, I cut out the Christmas saying on my Cricut and weeded it. If you need these for your project, check the link in the description. After the book covers had dried, I placed them back on the books. I then took some twine and wrapped it around the books about 4 times and tied it on the top. My camera wasn't recording when I did this, and apparently the lens was a little dirty too. Sorry about that. I guess I will need to start looking at the camera before I start recording a video. I used this buffalo check wire ribbon I got from Hobby Lobby and created a simple bow and tied it in the middle with a piece of twine. And then I glued it to the top of the books. Now it's time to add our vinyl letters by simply using some transfer tape and rubbing them onto the spine of the books. And here are the books completed. They are so stinking cute. What do you think? Now that the books are complete, let's move on to the gnome. I used a bag of beans and a fluffy black sock from Dollar Tree for the base of the gnome. I pushed on the bag of beans until I got a small hole in the middle for me to hot glue the sock into the bag. I used a small round wood piece I had from a bag I got from Dollar Tree and added that to the middle for a little extra support and to give me somewhere to hot glue the yarn. I used scrap pieces of white yarn to create the gnome's beard. After cutting all the yarn, I tied everything together with a double knot and glued it to the wood in the middle of the sock. I used an old shirt for the hat. I folded under the cut edge and ironed it down on the inside. The only part I ironed was around the edge where the hat would sit on the gnome's head. I wanted the tail of the hat to stay wrinkled. I turned the hat inside out and applied hot glue to hold everything in place. After turning the hat the correct way, I glued a Dollar Tree large white pom-pom to the end of the hat. I then added the hat to the top of the gnome and hot glued the back so it would stay in place. For his nose, I used another piece of wood and hot glued it in the middle. You can leave your gnome just like this, but I felt like he needed something else, so I decided to use some of the sock I had cut off to make little legs and feet. If you hate getting burnt with hot glue, I would not recommend this part. I burnt myself too many times to count, but I think it was worth it. I think both of these turned out amazing, and I love how his little legs hang over the side of the books. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you want to be notified when I upload new videos, just click on the bell notification. Hi all my crafty friends, and welcome to Designs by Gaddis. I went to Dollar Tree today and purchased these 2 little Christmas trees. As you can see, they are pretty scrawny when you open them up. But just wait and see what I do with them for just $5. I just love the way they turned out. After I took the trees out of the boxes, I realized they looked like Charlie Brown Christmas trees. So I had to find a way to make them look fuller. While I was at Dollar Tree, I picked up a pack of wired garland ties. Why? I really don't know. I just thought they may come in handy, and now I'm glad I got them. I fluffed the tree out as much as I could and then started filling in the bare spots with the garland. I took a piece of garland, wrapped it where I wanted, and then twisted it twice around itself to secure it. I used an entire bag of garland on this one tree. I did this until I was happy with the way it looked. and see what a big difference a little garland fluffing can do? I then took this little box I got from Dollar Tree for another project and cut down some floral foam so it would fit in the box. I took the legs off the tree and then just simply pulled the end of the tree off and stuck it in the floral foam in the box. I started fluffing the tree out a little more until I was happy with the way it fit into the box. As you can see, I had a little helper decide she wanted to join me today. Meet Princess. She thinks my work table is her bed and she wants me to leave her alone. She also likes eating the Christmas trees. I found some brown burlap ribbon I had left over from fall, so I cut it down and placed it on top of the foam in the box to cover it up. And yes, Princess is still trying to help, or rather, trying to figure out how she can destroy my little Christmas tree. I had a small pack of LED lights from Dollar Tree, so I got them out and added batteries to make sure they worked. They did, so I went ahead and used them on the front of the tree. I hid the battery pack in the box and covered it up with the brown burlap ribbon. Here are the two trees side by side. What a difference a little garland and lights can do for a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will be hand making all the ornaments for this tree. And I know you don't want to miss a minute of all the Christmas fun we are going to be having here. If you want to be notified when I upload a new video, simply hit the bell notification. Merry Christmas! And as always, thanks for watching.